everyone. Welcome to another episode of Content Supply Live. Today, we're talking about trending topics in the music industry. We're first going to talk about the All American Rejects throwback style house party tour that they just announced on Facebook a couple weeks ago. And then we'll also talk about Taylor Swift's AMA red carpet no-show and then the AMAs in general. So let's start with the All American Rejects house party tour. I thought this was really interesting. I saw it on Facebook. I'm sure it was like all over social media too. But basically, they're just throwing it back to the early 2000s where house parties were super popular. And they are no longer hitting big stadiums. They're just going and performing at like house parties in bowling alleys and a lot of like smaller venues. So I'm interested to hear both of your thoughts on this. I know that Brendan said that you had researched this a little bit beforehand.
I'm a big proponent, but I'll wait for Kate to say her piece, and then I'll dive in.
Yeah, I think that it's funny because I feel like there's been a lot of like conversations about sometimes how these big, like a lot of frustration around bigger venues and their ticket sales and a lot of like third-party ticket processing systems that are always like messing things up or charging extra fees. So I feel like there's a lot of frustration, especially amongst like the millennial and Gen Z generations that like towards these bigger venues. So I think this is really a cool move on this band's part. And I feel like another thing that ties in really well with this is whenever you're marketing towards millennials, which I believe is kind of their target demographic.
Oh yeah.
Millennials love nostalgia like so much. And so doing anything like house party themed, anything to bring them back to the golden days is a good move. So, I think that specific marketing move was really genius. So
I love the All American Rejects as a band myself. I listened to their music growing up. I'm a very big fan. Like Move Along, Gives You Hell, Dirty Little Secret. Those three tunes like are like the epitome of middle school and early high school. Covered one of my second talent show I ever played. I covered Swing Swing by them, and so like they've kind of just been there as through the fabric of me growing up as a group, and seeing them be able to just kind of throw a middle finger to Ticketmaster and be able to say like, hey, we don't want to like it costs so much to go to a show for the common man, especially nowadays, to go and see the All American Rejects in that, like, I live in Utah. So the Delta Center, which is where the Jazz play. If I want to go see the All American Rejects play there, even the nosebleeds, the garbage seats, it sounds awful. It's actually a bad venue for music. But if I want to go see them, they're going to be playing at this venue that's going to sound not great. And it's going to be hella far away. They're going to be about this big from my eyes, other than like the big Jumbotron, but also it's going to cost like $200 to $300 for the ticket, $50 for parking, however much for food, however much for all these other things. So it's a huge endeavor, and that's for like per person generally. And so like this becomes a huge investment when people are just not like the average person who wants to be into music. And this is a Youngblood quote that he's like, I can't do festivals anymore. He said, I don't want to do festivals anymore because you can't inspire kids. You can't inspire people to get into music if the only people that can get in are Nepo babies. If the only people that can get in are like rich, like it ruins the pipeline of potential talent because you're only going to get rich, spoiled kids who can even play that game. So that's a separate thing. But I just really love that as they're going out and they're doing these house shows, it's kind of rebolstering their fan base. It's getting people excited about doing this type of stuff. That can be, hey, we can throw a show anywhere. We can build an event anywhere. Having done a lot of these types of events in my life and been around these types of things, the first show with my band back from after we did a little hiatus was a house show in Cedar City. And they brought like 120 kids to this little teeny house in Cedar City, Utah, and it was bumping. It was super fun. It was they just threw pallets down and rugs, and that was the stage. And so it was, and they had the other sound gear and whatnot. And those memories are way more memorable than the hyper polished Ticketmaster corporate yada yada that you see in a typical show. So I think what it is doing is it's showing the human experience with music, and it's bringing back nostalgia, like you're saying, Kate, but also it's standing up for, hey, we're not going to take the idea that you have to sell your soul to Ticketmaster to be able to go on the road. Like, there's other ways to do it, and there's other ways to be relevant. And not only has it made them relevant again, which they haven't been for a long time, I'd say probably like 2009, 2010 was the last time All American Rejects were in the public kind of like conversation, that I think it has really, I don't know, it's bolstered up my perspective on things, but also I'm hoping that a lot of other brands and companies and artists, and we talked about this in our last podcast, where you don't need a label, you don't need a production house, you don't need all these things to become a creator. You can do a lot of that stuff by yourself now. It's just if you have the grit and the ability to capture an audience. The audience is there. It's just, can you feed them exactly what they want? So that's kind of my take on it. I'm just super a fan of how these guys are going about it, and they throw a heck of a show. They always do, and their songs are catchy, and the hooks are great. The music's awesome, and the experience is like unforgettable. And you feel like you're watching like American Pie or some old early 2000s show where everybody would go to the frat house and watch a local band play, and it was just going crazy and whatnot. And people still party. They usually throw like on a DJ or just a Spotify playlist, but to have a band in that moment, I think we're going to see even more so a renaissance of this type of experience for a lot of people, because it's inspiring to want to connect. It's a fun experience. It doesn't cost a lot to do, and you can make memories that last way, way beyond oh, I'm so glad I saw my favorite artist and they were the size of this guitar pick far away. Like it's awesome that those people could hear him, and they're the sound isn't as good too also at these shows, but that didn't matter because the experience was overall better. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. That's kind of my thoughts on the ordeal.
Yeah, I love that. I know that there are quite a few artists that I know of that have started like standing up against Ticketmaster. I'm not sure if either of you are familiar with like Zach Bryan, but 2 tours ago, he also he came out with an album called like All My Homies Hate Ticketmaster, and it was kind of standing up against like this sort of thing too. And he would just play in like smaller venues, not like house party small, but like small and like, not the Delta Center or like Ticketmaster like owned venues. And I think it's really cool when artists do that, because I know for me, like someone that goes to a lot of these shows, Ticketmaster fees are insane. And it definitely like makes me not want to go to the show, because I'm like, I don't want to pay $40 in fees just to go to the show that I'm already paying a lot of money for. So I definitely think it's a good move on the All American Rejects part. I think it's really cool.